What's up, YouTube? I'm Adriana.
And I'm Kane.
And we're the Standing Gals. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. We're super excited today to give you another video. This video, I think, is awesome. So you should like, comment, and subscribe so that
It's aggressive, but we'll roll with it.
Anywho, I am so proud of how far Kane and I have come in our communication, the way that we support each other, and we're going to share how we feel is some of the best ways to support your spouse during different seasons in life. We're going to use a specific season that we've just kind of, not necessarily wrapping up, but this is something that happened at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, so what Adriana is referring to is her being called to ministry, and that having a lot of consequences that we had to deal with in our relationship from then until now. And it's ongoing, but you're going to see a good trajectory of different ways we supported each other, the ways that I supported her primarily, how she responded to that, and just overall giving examples so that you're able to take these insights and hopefully apply them to your relationship or your future relationship.
Yeah, and there was definitely like some good responses and some not so great responses that we'll definitely point out to you so we can both know how to better support each other during this journey called life that we have partnered in, and that you can learn to do with your partner as well. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Before we jump in, it's going to be helpful for us to kind of break this story down into like three main areas. We're going to go through the calling itself, the happy phase, the good phase, where Adriana is brimming with ideas and has a lot of energy.
Purpose.
Right. Then the reality sets in. That's the second kind of phase of this whole thing. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the present. Where are things now? How are we kind of navigating this whole calling and what it means for us today? And so let's jump into the first part here. We're going to talk about the calling itself. And I'm just going to hand it to you, Adriana, to tell us exactly what you were experiencing when you initially got the calling. What was that like for you?
Awesome. Thanks, Kane. I would say that when I got my calling to be going into ministry, like, that was a calling, y'all. I can't say that I was like, woohoo, my purpose, yes. Because I already felt like I knew what my purpose was. I am different than Kane and probably a lot of people, where I felt like I knew what I was supposed to be doing in life and I was trying to pursue it and it wasn't going to plan, and then I was feeling very lost for a while. And when I really took the time to get very serious with my time with God and had been like starting a fast, or actually it was right before I started a fast that I got the calling and I went into a fast because of that calling. It was an overwhelming sense of peace that I had when I got it. Even though it wasn't my plan, I knew it was His plan, and I had to trust His plan was better than my own. So I was actually excited once I got to marinate and when God revealed a lot of things to me during my fast. So I told Kane about it because I tell him everything. Like, how did you feel when I told you about the calling, and that this calling was actually going to require me to leave my job?
If I'm remembering correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, my initial response was, this makes sense. I felt like, and I still to this day, it's just something that resonated with me. It's something that I saw for Adriana. So when she said that, you know, this is what God revealed to me, what do you think? I was all for it. I was all on board with the idea, whatever that meant at that time. So I was bought in day one in supporting Adriana in this, regardless of kind of what it looked like.
Not that I didn't think Kane wouldn't support me, because I came to Kane with a lot of ideas in the past year, just like, oh, maybe I should try this, or we could do that, or I could start this business, because I was coming off of having my own business and trying to go back into what the purpose of my life that I thought was my purpose from like high school through college, that I didn't really get to pursue. And then moving out to San Diego, I just didn't really know what I was doing. So I just brought a lot of things to Kane often.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to figure out what I was doing, but I never felt settled. And this is the first time I felt really settled and got that confirmation and shared it with him. The reason I was concerned of what Kane might say is because we left Indiana where rent was a third of what it is out here.
Oh.
And we was barely, affording to live in our studio here in San Diego with 2 incomes. So God telling me I need to leave my job could have definitely not gone over as well as it did.
You brought up some good backstory and some context. All of those things that Adriana mentioned, the various opportunities that she had, not enough time to get into it now, just know that there were a number of job opportunities over the course of our relationship, but especially within the past couple of years, that I knew were not a good fit for her and her personality, but it was a way to put food on the table and help with the increase. When she came to me with this, I saw how much purpose it was just aligned with her being. And this goes to kind of the final point I want to make, which is the tip for you, the viewer watching this. You've got to know your significant other. You've got to know your spouse and truly be bought into what's best for them. And, if I'm going to give myself a pat on the back, it's kind of in that regard, especially when it comes to Adriana and what she wants to do and what she's pursuing and what God's placed on her heart.
Yeah, because he's not afraid to hurt my feelings when I have an idea that he's
not.
like, you ain't gonna like that.
No, not. Okay, so that's the calling. That's kind of the backstory. The first couple of months, Adriana's very excited. She's got a ton of ideas, and we spent a considerable amount of time kind of mapping things out, all of the various ministries that we're going to implement and put into action. I think at the time it was like 5 or 6 different ones. We've scaled it.
God was downloading a lot of stuff.
It was
to
a
me.
lot.
I didn't really know how to piece it together yet.
Yeah. So this is winter, spring-ish, and she's called to do this ministry, which meant she had to leave her job. So this brings us to kind of part 2 of our story here, which is when the reality sets in, when things get real, when you make that leap and you cut off a stream of income, that creates tension, that creates consequences. So tell me about what that experience was like for you. And once we didn't have that paycheck from a brand that shall not be named.
Well, it wasn't like it was a good paycheck anyways, but it was a paycheck.
It was something.
A little context for me is that I've always been very money driven, and my business that I left Indiana, I would say was probably grossing around $8,000 a month before we moved out here. And then my little measly check from the place that I was working at before was probably just like, I don't know, like $2,000 at the most. Was it even that? No.
I think it was like.
I think it was like
$1,200.
$1,200 to $1,000.
Yeah.
That was too generous.
Yeah.
It was just enough to just help make it a little more comfortable for our lives. It wasn't like it was like a career or anything that I really wanted to be at. So we moved, and the move allowed us to cut our costs down a little bit to a new spot, but it was all good at first because, God blessed me with a little startup ministry money, and I was using that, and I was blessing people, and I was like feeling this energy, like when you first get started with something, you're excited.
And then a couple months went by.
And I definitely was upset that I was not making any money. And I started kind of resenting God a little bit. Like, why would you call me to this? Like, I'm broke. And I'm 28 years old, going on 29, and I feel like I'm backtracking in my life and my career. Like, I just really felt unsettled, and then I started putting pressure on Kane. Like, if I'm not gonna work, like, I need you to be closing deals. And like, if you're not closing deals, I need you to get a better paying job. We can't live off of this no more. So I wasn't being supportive, but my husband supported me by doing that, and I recognized that was wrong, and I genuinely started looking for jobs because I was feeling very uncomfortable in the state of like, I know this is what you call me to do, Lord, but like maybe if I could just provide a little bit for us, I could put more into the ministry, because right now I ain't got no money to even put into the ministry to bless people, and like, I thought you told me to bless people, God. So I was
you
just
can see
like,
clearly the reality has set in.
It was just like, I just did not feel settled about anything.
Couple things really quickly. Adriana would come to me and she would look for jobs like all night, and she would ask repeatedly. She would ask me, or we would at least dialogue about jobs. And my encouragement to her was to honestly, like, don't worry about the job. If you're committed to this, if you're going to do this, then you need to be all in. We knew what the consequences were. We knew what our money would look like with you not having an income, and we were okay with that. But not having that income, because Adriana's income really allowed for us to have some extras, right? With my job at the time, it's kind of like we could pay the bills, nothing more, nothing less.
Paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to paycheck. And that's not, I mean, that's better than a lot of people, to be honest, right? But it's not where we wanted to be. We wanted to be able to have some breathing room in our budget to spend time together, to go on dates if we wanted to, or to bless people, like Adriana said. And we just didn't have that at that time. And so, like she mentioned, there was moments where she's not only looking for jobs, but simultaneously, she's sending me jobs. She's sending me, hey, look at this company. Have you applied here? Take a look at this place. Take a look at this place. What did that recruiter say? Did you respond back to that? And she's acting like a manager over me, to the point where I had a job opportunity that I knew was not right for me. And I felt convicted that it was not right for me and I had to turn it down. It would have been a pay increase, a marginal pay increase, but it would have been a pay increase. But Adriana felt the tension so much that for a period of time, and you could talk about this, you were, I don't know, you probably felt frustrated that I didn't just jump at that opportunity.
I think that I just was so sad about like where I felt like God was leading us and where it was leaving me, and I felt helpless, and I felt like, well, if I'm gonna do this, like I just need there to be some extra to actually move and do some things. But if I can't go get the job myself, then like I feel like I need Kane to just, if he really is supporting me in this, I need him to get a job that's going to be able to help me actually do this. And I know like I went about it the wrong way, but that's just what happens sometimes when you're just feeling all the pressure. Like I was feeling less than because I didn't have an income that I was bringing to the table, and I've always had one. You know, for a while it was always like I was bringing in more for a good portion of our marriage to bringing in nothing and like willingly doing that.
Right.
It's a very hard and humbling experience for me, and I've apologized to him about that since, and I know that like I crumble under pressure a lot more than he does. Like he can just adapt a lot easier. That's just where our personalities balance each other out. I learned that I need to be able to handle things on my own without putting pressure on my husband, which led me to getting into therapy. And that has been awesome, you guys. Highly recommend. And that's part of where like you have to, this is me supporting my husband supporting me. Right. Because I knew like I can't keep putting this pressure on him. Like I need to be creating the best version of myself to be for him. And all I can do is change what I'm doing in my day-to-day to help me feel better and live healthier inside and out. And that way he can do the same for himself, and we can come together and just be great.
Yeah. What this boils down to is trust. Being able to trust your spouse, to trust each other, and ultimately to trust God. That what God has called for you, if you feel convicted in it, you need to trust that process and see it through and understand the consequences. Because for me, if I know what I'm getting into, it's a lot easier for me to digest. We learned a lot through that experience. There was a lot of growth that happened for the both of us, and it happened very, very quickly, which kind of brings us to now. So the third leg of this whole thing is the present, like where we're at right now today. From January up until now, Adriana's call to ministry, the tension and the frustrating feelings that she dealt with, that she navigated, that she had to lean on me, she had to lean on God, to the present where you have refined vision. You have new clarity. And so talk to us about that. Talk to us about where are things at now with the ministry and the calling.
And myself.
Yes.
Things are honestly like the best that they've ever been for me personally as a person. I was just telling my therapist today that I have not felt this type of joy and peace in my life as an adult. I don't think ever. I've had moments like, you know, happiness, like I'm happy for periods of time, but then like I kind of have suffered with depression a lot. And I've just felt this overwhelming just sense of peace and just like I know I'm in the right direction. Like, I'm going through my journals and seeing the things that I prayed about and things that, you know, I've been hopeful for, and like where my ministry was and like where it is now, and it's taking form. I'm like, I have my YouTube channel that I actually am being consistent about and want to do. Hallelujah.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Even the editing
y'all are
that I
seeing the
don't like to
fruits
do. Okay?
of the
Hours
growth.
on end. But I'm doing it, and I'm doing it knowing nobody's watching.
Not yet. Not yet.
But
maybe you're watching from the future.
right.
If so, hello.
Appreciate you. Okay, you made it all worthwhile.
Right.
But I'm doing it because I'm just being obedient, and I'm learning just how to do that and do what God's asked me to do and not worry about what it looks like right now. So that's been awesome. My small group that I've been super blessed to be able to have so many young ladies plug in. It's a small, intimate setting, but I can see just the growth and change and difference it's making in their lives. People actually look forward to coming to it once a month, and it's just an awesome feeling to know like this is something God gave me a vision for, and seeing it start to grow after just, you know, maybe 6 months. And the last thing is like my apparel line that I've been working on. I know for a fact that my entrepreneur Let's Get Things Going wanted to launch it this year, 2021, December, for the holidays, but I do know now like it's gonna need a lot more time to marinate, and it may not be something that happens until next year, December, but that's okay, because I know when it does launch, it's gonna be the right time, and it's gonna be with purpose, and the vision will actually be seen out the way it was supposed to be done versus just my rushed version of whatever I thought I was trying to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I see everything more clearly, and I know that the financial increase is coming from Kane's job and from whatever the ministry is able to do through those avenues that will produce income that I'll be able to turn around and bless other people with. So I'm super excited about that. I'm super thankful for, you know, the growth just that Kay and I have had personally in our relationship with God, really seeking Him, really just being in our Word, really, you know, paying attention to the messages, rewatching them. It's just created something so amazing to just see out, like playing out in real time right now. And I'm just grateful that I have a supportive husband, that even though I can be crazy sometimes and, you know, stress him out with like just my own issues, I'm glad that like my issues are important to him, and that he tries to help and support me in whatever ways that he can. And that's why I know I'm able to be the best version of myself, because I have my partner, my best friend, my husband, Manny. Thank you, love.
Of course.
It's because it's been a lot of things this year, and a lot of things we're still believing for, that I need him holding my hand through. You guys will get to see, like, you know, how I'm also able to support my husband through other types of trials and tribulations that we have in our relationship, we've had in our relationship. And
I have needed some grace.
Yeah, and I think that ultimately we love God, we love each other, and by focusing on God, it's allowed us to get closer to each other and better understand each other, better support each other. And it's only up from here, y'all.
All right. It's only crazy until it happens. It's clearly getting dark outside.
Yeah.
So we're going to stop this right here. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. Be on the lookout for a video next week with all of what Adriana just talked about. And until next time, be blessed. See you later. God is working in secret.
Wait, come back. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, don't
Boom.
forget.
And shoot that bell.
Not shoot that dong.
The dong.
We gonna
shoot
have
that
like
dong, that bell.
Gong that bell, because that's what you do to bells.
Boom.
Yes. We gonna have some extras.
I gotta pee. That's why I've been bouncing.
We don't even know what this look like because it's so dark.
Thank you, Nons. I gotta get out the pots.
It's a wrap.
Ugh. Take that tape off. I gotta go home today.
You stop it. And then I'm just gonna kick it to you to talk about the calling part.
I'll say like the reality sets in, something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
And action. Okay. So before we jump in.
And I didn't have any organization. I felt like I was just like, you know, didn't really have direction with what I was doing, just trying to go and figure out, like, I just didn't know what I was doing. So I ended up getting a job, and that made everything worse. And you know what was funny, y'all, is because God was just like, be patient. And I didn't want to be patient. And he ended up blessing Kane with a higher paying job, like not even within a week after I quit the job that I had got temporarily for like a month.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves just a little bit.
What am
I want
doing?
to. Well, I mean, you're telling the story in the right order, but talk about like. So I wanted to say two things real quick, and we'll figure out where to cut this in.